When the Sea Came. A series of short stories to the survivors, to the families who searched, to the strangers who gave without asking, and to those who never made it home. You are remembered. This story is a tribute to the strength of the human spirit when all seems lost, and the power of love that endures even the fiercest storm. We never expected our vacation to end in silence. Thailand was beautiful. A postcard come to life. Bright skies, golden sand, waves that lapped like they were humming a lullaby. We were a family of 4. Liam, my husband, strong and steady. John, our thoughtful 12-year-old. And our younger boys, Adam and Ben, just 6 and 4, still at that sweet age where every shell is treasure and every splash a triumph. It was December 26th. The boys were playing on the beach outside our resort in Khao Lak. I watched them from a shaded chair with my feet buried in the warm sand. Liam had just come back with fresh mango from a street vendor. He grinned at me, kissed my forehead, and said, "They'll sleep well tonight." I remember laughing, that small, easy joy. I wish I had held it longer. Because moments later, everything changed. At first, it was subtle, the tide retreating far too quickly. The sea didn't just recede, it ran. People stared. Some walked toward the exposed seabed, marveling at the stranded fish and sea urchins. But I felt something cold bloom in my chest. Instinct. The kind that doesn't need science or explanation. I stood and shouted for the boys. Then the roar came. It was not just sound. It was pressure. The air seemed to shudder. A towering wave taller than any building I'd ever seen surged toward us. A wall of water that swallowed the horizon. I screamed John's name. I reached for him. He was only a few feet away. Then the sea hit. There are no words to truly explain what it feels like to drown while awake. I was torn from the earth, spun underwater, slammed into debris. My lungs screamed, my mouth filled with sand. I couldn't tell up from down. When I surfaced, coughing violently, the world was gone. No resort, no trees, no people, only destruction, only silence. Then, a cry. "Mom!" I turned. John, limping, bleeding, alive. I ran to him, my body screaming with pain, and we held each other like we'd just been born into a nightmare. We were alone. I didn't know where Liam or the little ones were, and that absence was a deeper kind of drowning. When the wave hit, Liam was holding Adam's hand. Ben had just run back for a toy truck half buried in the sand. He never got the chance. Liam doesn't talk much about those seconds, just that he grabbed both boys, one in each arm, and ran. But the water came faster than he could. It snatched them, lifted them, spun them like leaves. He said later that he remembers hitting a palm tree, all 3 of them clinging to it as the current tried to rip them apart. Adam screamed, Ben was choking, but somehow they held on. When the water finally retreated, they were on what had once been a road, now covered in mud, splintered wood, and pieces of people's lives. Liam didn't rest. He started walking, searching, hoping against logic that we had survived. John and I wandered for hours, barefoot, hungry, disoriented. My leg throbbed from a gash, but I pushed through. We came across a Thai woman named Mina. She had lost her son, yet she welcomed us, gave us water, wrapped my wound, and walked with us to a Buddhist temple turned shelter. She didn't speak much English, but she kept whispering a single word: hope. Even in our shared grief, she gave us that. That night, I slept with John curled beside me, his fingers clenched in mine. The sound of waves haunted the darkness, though the sea was quiet. I don't know how I slept, but I remember waking to the light and the pain. Not physical, but deeper. The knowing that our family might be broken forever. Liam carried Ben in his arms and held Adam's hand for hours, through flooded roads and over toppled bridges. They ate fruit handed out by monks, slept on broken tiles under tarps. Locals guided him toward relief posts, hospitals, names written on walls. At one center, a whiteboard listed survivors. He found Ann Miller, American, Khao Lak Temple, scrawled in fading marker. He fell to his knees. A stranger placed a hand on his back. "Go," the man said. "Go now." I remember that moment with complete clarity. I was sitting under a plastic sheet hung over bamboo poles. My leg was stiff, and my mind had started to drift into a place between hope and surrender. Then I heard my name, and there he was, Liam, mud-caked, eyes red, carrying Ben with Adam beside him. John stood first, yelled, "Dad," and ran. I stood too, barely able to walk. When we collided, all the grief, pain, fear, it cracked. We were whole again.
We flew back weeks later on an emergency flight. The boys were quiet. John barely spoke. Adam started to wet the bed again. Ben wouldn't leave my lap. Liam was different too, more withdrawn. He spent a lot of time staring out windows. I flinched every time I heard running water. We were safe, yes, but survival isn't the end of the story. There were funerals we didn't attend, names we only knew after. There were people we never saw again. There are dreams that still haunt us. But there was also healing, time, and love. People ask what saved us. Luck, perhaps. Timing. A tree. A woman with no reason to help us, but every reason to. But I think the real answer is this. We never stopped looking for one another. Through every broken road, every lost face, every crashing wave, we reached out. We held on. When the sea came, it tried to take everything. It didn't. It couldn't. Because some things, like love, cannot drown.